What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, no hippie trucking and transportation. Just chilling out here at a truck stop. Have a few things to talk about. Wait for some people to get in here. I know it's a Monday morning, so maybe not going to be a lot of people. Or maybe anybody for that matter. It is a little chilly out here. Andrea, what's up? Rusty, what's up? Matthew, what's up? Leah, I know you're in some cold ass weather. I saw you were leaving somewhere in Ohio, and I just left that. And I'm telling you, I don't know what route you took, but we're gonna get into that here in a second. What's up, Jared? I don't know what temperature it is out here. I know when I got up this morning, it was like maybe -2 or something like that. But there is no snow, so that's a good thing. I'm just gonna wait just a little bit. But I'm coming at you from the Loves in North Platte, Nebraska. Been here about 20 hours so far. I deliver in about 4 more hours. Hey, Rusty, I saw that you're coming to Denver. You gonna be messing around with that 70? Hey, come on over 70. This right here, Black Rifle coffee, espresso. Nah, it was on sale. I figured I'd give it a shot. Nah. All right, so yesterday, or a couple days ago, when I got this load, I was in Indiana. Not Indiana. I was in Ohio, picked up at Columbus, Ohio, and I was thinking, I was getting a little weak, so I was almost going to break this up into 3 drive shifts. But I was like, man, if I just get out there like immediately, I'll have a chance to just like relax for about almost 24 hours. So I was about to get weak. And then I was reminded of the words of Sir Debo of Friday, with his words of motivation I'd like to share with you real quick.
Stop being a bitch and come on.
So I figured I would stop being a bitch and just drive it out. But anti-gel, yep, let's talk about that. I'm still using the old Penray anti-gel that Prime had. I had excess bottles from some of these trucks, so I'm still using that. And trust me, I filled up when I didn't need to, because I didn't want to come out here with a half a tank of fuel. Oh yeah, we got to talk about, man, there's so much shit to talk about. But I probably have about 2.25 times the amount needed. So I'd probably imagine that I have about if one bottle treats 250 gallons, I probably doubled up in the reefer, so did that, and then I probably have a little over, let me see, I probably have a little over 1 bottle in each tank if I was to estimate, because I got fuel a number of times. But first of all, what I'm talking about as far as wandering the earth like Caine from Kung Fu, this GPS is garbage right here. This thing is horrible. So I've been off my game a little bit, you know what I mean? So I was down in Florida a few days ago, and I've ran this route like maybe 4 or 5 times since I've been at Prime, and it was picking up in Fort Pierce, Florida, going to Cincinnati. So I'm thinking it's automatic, so let me just go ahead and put the So now when you download the stuff to your GPS, or your fuel stops come in your load information. So I didn't even look at it. I just clicked on the fuel stop as my next destination and started rolling. Now I'm driving up 95 and I'm thinking, man, shouldn't I be on the turnpike? But then I was like, well, maybe this GPS is having me going a different way because it's saving me money on the GPS. Maybe it's going to take me to 4, and then I'm going to cut across to 75 and then up 75 all the way in. So I'm just driving at night, really not thinking anything about it. Man, next thing I know, I'm all up in South Carolina and everything, and that's what I knew. I done fucked up. Man, I was all driving through North Carolina, Asheville, all that stuff. I didn't know if they had opened up some of those roads to commercial vehicles. I'm calling Highway Patrol. Hey, man, it's 26 still, because I couldn't find any information on it. Man, that route was horrible. So I ended up taking like 95 to 26 to I forget what off-brand highway it drops you off on, but it was just a horrible route. And I was like, man, I need to slow down and just start like really focusing in. So I delivered my load in Cincinnati. My next load's coming from Columbus, Ohio, coming to North Platte, Nebraska. So this time I'm like, I'm gonna check this route. So I look at my fuel stop and it's like Morris, Illinois. I'm like, why am I gonna go up towards 80? Like I don't even remember what highway you take from 70 to get up to 80 or whatever. And I'm just like 65 or something, or 69. I don't remember. I'm like, hell no, I don't care how cheap the fuel is. That's not the route I want to take. So I ended up taking 70 to 65 to 465 to 74 to 72 to 36 to 29 to 2 to 80. Much better route. Barely any trucks on the route. If you haven't driven 74 or 72 in a long time, that is such a relaxing route. I might have paid a little bit more for fuel, but a whole lot better. No truck traffic, barely whatsoever. A lot of parking along that route. So I just realized I need to take more control over these routes and not just follow this GPS. Because this co-pilot or whatever, like I said, it's going to have you wandering the earth like Caine from Kung Fu, getting in adventures and shit. Because it has not seen a state route it does not like. And when I was driving the other day, when I was up in them Asheville mountains, I saw another prime driver on one of these routes. I think it was like, I forget what road it was. And I drove by and I was like, yeah, that dumb motherfucker followed the GPS too. But, so I'm just going to forget. And I had to manually put in the stop to get me on the right route. Like maybe I just don't know enough about this GPS. So when I left Ohio, I ended up putting in St. Joseph's, Missouri as my destination. And that kind of gave me the route. Then once I got out there, then it picked up the normal route. But that's not the only thing we've been dealing with. The trucking industry is the only industry where there's always constantly shit going wrong that affects drivers like to a massive degree. So the other night I park up. I'm at the last fuel stop in Illinois. I forget what city it was in, but it was a Love's. And I'm like, okay, let me get the fuel in the morning, because I think I had like about a half a tank. Let me get fuel in the morning, and then I'll be able to knock out on my clock the fueling and the vehicle inspection. Save me about 6 minutes of time, 7, whatever. So what happens? We get the message. Com data's down. It'll be down from 3 in the morning till 6 in the morning. Well, I plan on leaving at about 3:45, 4 o'clock. So now I'm sitting here. Now, luckily, this Love's had some parking. So I ended up breaking up a 10-hour break just to get the fuel. Because the fuel is going to go up, I think, like 20 cents or something ridiculous if I just drove out. So just think about all the crap that's going on on in the trucking industry. Com data, I don't know if that's a prime com data issue or if that's just com data, but like I mentioned before, that's like going to Walmart and them saying, we're not accepting credit card transactions right now. So if it's not that going down, it's the what is this shit called? It's the Geo tab going down. It just gets a little frustrating. But I've definitely not been on my game out here as far as this run out of the house this time. So what's up, Jocelyn D? Shrimp Poo, what's up? I've been just having to definitely double check everything, make sure I'm not going to end up dropping a trailer, doing something ridiculous, because I went and picked up a load and didn't do a drop trailer, didn't do a pickup trailer, didn't do I think I did my depart, didn't scan in no bill. I mean, I just called. They're like, we don't see any information. I was like, oh shit. Or no, I didn't. I think I forget. I was like, man, let me call you back. I forgot half the steps before, So that's kind of what's going on. Yeah, I'm going to be coming home pretty soon. I just don't want to. I want to come home and stay long enough to where Tina Balin, please stop saying bad words. I'm only 10 years old, technically 11. I'm going to tell you, you might be on the wrong channel. And I said, no, this is not for kids. So, anyway. Super Ego, Murrill, going through it. Yeah, I can hear you. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on as far as just not being really all that tuned into things, I was thinking about this the other day and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to try to get through this winter. It's not even going to be about making money or anything like that. It's just going to be, let me just get through and then I'll just stack it up, once this winter's over, because I'm thinking about too many things I normally don't think about. I can't trust the system, as far as, as far as the GPS. So I'm putting in more effort into, I know there's people out there that are stuck in the old school. I don't get it, where you feel like Atlas is gonna. I don't get it. But anyway, so I'm just having to do a lot more stuff, a lot more thinking about stuff, just because I'm a little off my game. But I'm not. I don't know if there's it. So anyway, I'm delivering this load at 3 p.m. I can get there at 2. I'll probably get there 2:30. I'm not in no rush to get over there, anything like that. But I'm really not hoping to get a load that picks up tonight, maybe even till midday tomorrow, because this weather right here will make you think about getting out of this damn truck. It's not as cold as I thought it was going to be. I was thinking it was going to be minus 10, 11, something like that. I was parked next to a Trans Am truck driver last night. And he was up in the seat. I was going to go over there and talk to him just to kind of see what he thinks about things, but man, it was just too cold, man. I was like, yeah, I'll have to save that conversation for later. Rusty, I just don't see what an Atlas. I mean, I get it, okay? Like I said, me and you grew up when they had the Thomas Guide, and when I mean, I've used maps and that whole thing, but one thing I can definitely say about back in the day was every street had a street sign on it. Have you driven up to streets lately and just no street signs whatsoever? None. You know, or else it'll be like one street on this side, and you know, another name on this side. So I don't know. I mean, one good thing about the Peterbilt, and it does help me with the trip planning, is if I put in a route, it brings up like a map of the entire like route from top to bottom of the country. So I can kind of use that as a atlas in a way. Merrill Wood. So is Prime and Trans Am together now, or what? Trans Am is hauling Prime freight, sort of like Wilson Logistics does for Prime. So, and you know, some of these routes, you know, you do them so much that you just kind of know where you're going. But I tell you what really does scare me with this co-pilot thing, being in like Pennsylvania, Maryland, you know, some of that upstate New York, all that kind of stuff. Because like I said, this thing does not see a state route it doesn't like, and I'm afraid to get out there and be following this thing blindly into some of them like off-brand roads in Pennsylvania where I'm gonna be going up and down, up and down. Yeah, Rusty, I don't get this whole thing. I don't get the thing, that whole Atlas thing. I mean, maybe I can't. I've used it once, and I was mad the one time I had to use it, and that's just because I was so new. I was actually on my trainer's truck at the time, and they had a road closed, and I was trying to find a way around it, and I broke out the Atlas then, and that was the only time I used it, and that wasn't even a help because it didn't show the closed roads on that thing. Google Maps would have served me better than that, even if it wasn't truck routes. But yeah, just to get back to this whole going home thing, like I said, I think I came out on the 4th or 5th of this month, so I haven't even been out that long. I still got to take care of the title on that truck. They'd like that to get done within a month, but I don't think I did my last one right before a month, so I might come home. I'll come home anytime between, what is it, the 20th? Anytime, man, this is going to be a wide, you know, kind of a wide plan, but anytime between now and like the 8th or 9th. So if I go home before, like, let's say the 6th or 8th, it's because something happened. Either I got pissed off at something or, you know, whatever. And then I'm just like, you know what, send me home. But I'll probably say sometime around the 8th, maybe a little bit longer, because I definitely want to sit a long time when I go home, at least relatively speaking, for the amount of time I've been out. D's, what's up? Greetings from Atlanta. Yeah, I should have drove through Atlanta about a week ago, but my dumbass followed my GPS without even thinking about it. Going up into South Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, all them off-brand highways in Kentucky, bad move. And I don't think I remembered actually saying what anti-gel I used. If I use that Penray anti-gel, not because anything other than I just have a bunch of it left over. But I haven't been getting killed by the snow this year, which is kind of lucky. Last year, wherever there was a snowstorm, I was in that thing. And I'm not playing with these people this year. They ain't gonna have me in no Friday morning meeting showing my accident. Well, I could put this shit in the ditch as good as anybody, but I'm not gonna be trying to put myself in a position to have people clowning me in the meeting. Hey Rusty, you know what hit me the other day? And my wife is in here as well. When you start really feeling like you're old is there's a driver that reached out to me and was talking about wanting to get into trucking and everything. Comes up, he said he's 25 years old. Man, 25 years old. I got kids older than 25 years old. And the reason he reached out to me was because I said I couldn't have done it when I was at that age. But Merrill would I become a TNT trainer again? Okay, let me answer my wife's question first. Is DEF or is Peak Blue DEF something you all use? It's something we can use. I did a video where I said I was mad that I had to buy some DEF in containers before. We buy the bulk stuff that's actually at the fuel pump that's like way cheaper than that DEF that's the Peak Blue stuff, and it takes forever to I've used that in an emergency. And I'm still mad about that to this day, and that was like 3 years ago. I think it'd be a lot safer, a lot less contaminants possibly, but no, that stuff is way too expensive. All right, so and then I'll get to Merrill Wood's question. As far as being a TNT trainer, I got a call. If some of you guys have been watching my channel for a while, there was a guy that he started up his channel for a while. His name was Landshark Transportation, and he was, I wouldn't be interested in that, Andrew. Landshark Transportation, he started up a YouTube channel for a while. He called me the other day, and we started reminiscing about some shit, and I was just like, man, it almost made me think about training again, but then I was just like, man, that's too many miles on this truck. Putting too many miles on the truck for that. And then you just give up a lot to be a trainer. I don't think that a lot of people think about what you actually give up being a trainer. So I don't think that I would train again. I'd almost thought about doing PSD training, helping people get their CDLs, or CDLs if you're a overachiever, but that doesn't play to my that doesn't play to my strengths. That plays to my weaknesses. I'm not gonna brag. I think I'm excellent at TNT training, teaching somebody how to run their clock, fine tuning their driving, all that kind of stuff. But PSD training, I just don't think I'd be good at that. Now, I would be good if I was at a pad. Like if I was like in Salt Lake City, I think I'd be better at a pad doing PSD training under like Salt Lake City's program more so than Springfield's program. Like if we had like 4 trainers training like 30, 40 people, we get them in groups and kind of do it like that I could do. But TNT training, I don't see that one anymore. All right, I got the one hand jam going on, playing with one hand, thinking about your mom gonna make a mess. See, I don't necessarily mind that comment, but it's just stupid. Let me get rid of that shit. All right, these trucks ain't big enough for 2 grown men. You know, I agree with that, but there is, you know, if you talk to trainers, there is at least a little sense of accomplishment to having trained somebody and at least been a part of their future. So anyway, I'm talking to my old trainee. He went back to his old industry. So I think what was good about getting into trucking for him was it really made him realize how good he had it in his other job. So he went back to doing that, and he's doing good over there. I was so lucky with my trainees, man. I'm telling you. I'm not going to get into all that again because I've said it on numerous times, but I was lucky. So I had a comment on one of my videos that was asking me what I thought about this bonehead trucker thing. I have a problem with somebody that, from what I've seen, let me not even talk about him as a trucker. I have a problem with anybody that is in an industry that makes their money off of other drivers' unfortunate experiences. To me, I think that's bullshit. And I've seen those videos, but it's because I'm scrolling through Facebook or something like that. I would never go on that channel and watch a video put out by that guy or that channel, whatever you want to say. Omar, do you have a truck? Yeah, I got a truck. Man, what else was I? Because there was some other stuff I wanted to talk about. Somebody was asking me, and I've spoke with people. There's a prime driver that put up a video driving over I-70 in the winter at night. And if anybody watches this video, this a content creator, I guess that's what they call you guys that really put effort into videos. Man, sometimes the content is not worth the embarrassment. And sometimes if you're not embarrassed, I mean, you should be embarrassed about some of the stuff. There's no way I'm putting that video up. If any of you guys have seen that video, let me know. Jesus Christ. But it's all content to this younger generation. Yep, these. Well, it's just not worth making yourself look stupid. Listen, if you've been driving for any amount of time, I'm gonna say that the majority of drivers out there have put themselves in some outlandish situations. You know what I'm saying? I know I have. And the first thing I didn't think was, you know what, let me run to fucking YouTube and post this stuff. And not only make me look bad, but the entire company look bad. But primarily me. You know, I may have spoke to some people about it, had a good laugh about, you know, I could think of 3 different things that came to my head, but I'm not gonna like be out there putting stuff out there for, no. Merrillwood, it's them Amazon trailer Indian dudes that be driving crazy in the snow. I don't know if they're just all Indian dudes, but Amazon trailers, if you think about it. All right, I'm going to give out a tip because we were talking about some tips, winter driving tips and stuff like that. But first of all, Amazon, you're typically, I don't think most Amazon loads are going to weigh more than 20,000 pounds, something like that. So you're light and you're driving like that. But here's one thing, newer drivers, I don't know if I would do this in California or not, but let's say I'm like in Wyoming or something like that. If I'm between weigh stations, or if I'm just setting up, I pick up a load and I'm going to get my tandems in the right place. In the winter, if I know I'm beyond snow, I'm going to put my tandems as far back as possible. It's just like physics, right? The further back your tandems are, what do they call that? A fulcrum. Your fulcrum's not going to, you're not going to be jackknifing as quick. And I'll even say, even if I have to be overweight, if I pass up a scale, I might adjust them depending on what's going on. So, definitely in the winter, I'm going to put my tandems as far back as legally possible, depending on what's going on, even if it might be a little illegal in terms of the weight. Like, especially if I'm in Wyoming, I know if I pass that one scale, I'm not going to hit another one until I'm about to get into Utah. I might move my tandems closer to the rear on something like that. So anyway, I don't know, Rusty, if you're still in here or not, but how do you plan on getting to Denver or Colorado or wherever you're dropping? And where are you delivering to? Let me check something right quick. One of the reasons I was afraid to get out here so early the other day was I was not trying to do no repower on anybody. So sometimes if you get somewhere super early, they might try to hit you with that repower. Now, I just got repowered myself and I was thinking about it. And I was like, man, maybe I gotta, maybe I owe them a repower. And I started thinking about shit, man. I'm like ahead like 3 favors on them as far as how many repowers I've done and stuff like that. So I'm not, I don't know anybody any favors right now. Not that I wouldn't do it. But Merrill, as far as let me see, the Indian, what did you say? Indian dudes and flip-flops. Man, see, my thing isn't about the Indian dudes. One of my drivers was an Indian dude. So my problem wouldn't necessarily be with the Indians as much as them damn Volvos, boy. Them Volvos haven't seen a side panel. They don't like shaking on the side of that thing. I think the newer Volvos, maybe they're not having that same problem, but drive by a Volvo that's maybe 4 years old, like the older body style right before they changed this new one. Man, every single one of those you see driving down the road has a panel flapping on the side of it. I don't know if Rusty's still in here, but snow in Denver, 50-mile-an-hour wind, minus 50 wind chills. Mountains, okay. I haven't really had many interactions with any Russian drivers. I know I ain't working for none of them companies. That I do know. But I was taking a look at my numbers. Looks like we're going to have a below average week right here. Yeah. Yeah, looks like we're on pace for a below average week. Their structure when you work with mega carriers, like they have terminals, facilities, and all that. Part of that structure is the stuff that I don't like. You know, part of that structure is why I got a damn camera in my truck right now. Part of that structure is why it takes me 9 hours to leave a receiver once I get the paperwork. I mean, there's some good stuff that goes along with that structure too, but a lot of it is a little tedious. And a lot of that structure wouldn't be that big of a deal if there were systems put in place to actually help the drivers and not help, you know, everybody else other than the drivers. Such an easy fix. I tell you, somebody brought up trainers earlier. What Prime needs. Romaine, man, when you called yesterday, I wasn't sure when you were going to be up or whatever. Man, when you called yesterday, I was like slobber sleeping. Man, I had that little thing of slobber hanging out my mouth. Oh! Man. I was gone dead to the world when you called yesterday. Where are you at, Romaine? Hey, Romaine, when I texted you the other day to see what route you took from Fort Pierce, Florida to Cincinnati, was to see if you made the same dumbass mistake I made. Obviously, you were smarter than I was, because I definitely didn't take the right route on that one. You know, let's give Logan and Riley a shout out. Don't need to subscribe though. I'll just give you a shout out for that. But yeah, Romaine, I took that dumb route. I was actually hoping that you said that you took the dumb route that I took, so I didn't feel so bad about taking it. So that was definitely a dumb route. Merrillwood, what do I think about Flying J Hot Wings? I've never had Flying J Hot Wings. Now that you brought that up, shoot, I probably need to make some hot wings when I'm at home and bring them on the road. I got a ton of hot wing recipes. If you go check out No Hippie Barbecue on YouTube, type in that plus chicken wings, man, I got all different kinds of chicken wings over there. I'm like Forrest Gump with chicken wings. Fried chicken wings, baked chicken wings, broiled chicken wings in a skillet. Romaine, I'm glad I'm not in Reading, Pennsylvania about now. I mean, it is cold here. I will tell you. Like if it starts getting super cold at night, I will, if I get up in the middle of the night, I will start my truck just, every now and then, just to keep I mean, I got brand new batteries in this truck, but just start it up every now and then, just to start it up every now and then. Yep, grilled wings. But the thing that made my wings the shit was the sauces I used to be making. All homemade sauces, like it could be peach sauces, habanero sauces, whatever. It was like it wasn't like out of a bottle. Typically, it was homemade. Shoot, I need you guys to get to cooking. Shoot. Man, the last thing I'm even thinking about when I get home is just cooking something. You know what? Actually, I am going to make that chicken piccata when I get home. Chicken piccata. That, me and my wife went to this. It's not I don't know if it's a new restaurant or not, a place that we haven't gone before. A Greek restaurant kind of deal. That stuff was good. But anyway, she got chicken piccata, and I was thinking about, man, it's been a long time since I made that, so that probably is going to be something that I hook up when I get home. Shamarcus, man, I was going to call you the other day, but my schedule's been jacked up. I just wanted to see kind of what was I saw your video, but I wanted to hear firsthand what ended up coming to that whole death situation. Man. I was either going to make chicken piccata or man, it's been so long since I cooked. I don't even know the names of this shit. The veal, where you pound it out, pound it out, dredge it in like, could either go with like a flour or like some kind of breading, light breading, real thin, cook it in some olive oil. Anyway. All right, Romaine committed a cardinal sin. He released himself at a church. Romaine, you might want to tell us about that. Shamarcus, definitely, man. I'm telling you. When you told me about that situation about the DEF in your fuel tank, or DEF in your, not DEF, the anti-gel in your DEF tank, that actually hurt my soul right there. Is that part of Romaine's video that just dropped that I haven't had a chance to take a look at yet? Hey, Romaine, I'm going to tell you, I forgot what story. You were telling some story about some guy that you met that was talking about he was with this girl and then she graduated nursing school and left him. I'm like, man, Romaine, when are you gonna run out of stories? You ain't out here talking to all these people, man. Romaine just be making shit up. Hey, Leah, you can't put too much anti-gel. That's what I keep telling myself. Now, here's the problem with this anti-gel, because I got some in here. For some reason, these bottles of anti-gel, you have to push down and twist, right? The necks are so weak that when you try to at least the ones I have. I don't know if because they're older bottles or what. When you push it down, the neck pushes down, but it doesn't push down enough to get the top off. So on one of these, I end up having to cut like a hole in the side of it and kind of go in like that. Leah, you cannot be too safe, man. I'm telling you, when my truck, like I said, I had anti-gel in my truck. You know, I think it was minus 18 this last time, and I know I've gone to minus 28 degrees, and what I put in was enough, but apparently it wasn't enough for that fuel pass through between the two tanks. When that shit shut off and no APU was working and I couldn't start the truck and it was like minus 18 degrees, man, you start thinking. Luckily there was a come and go right next to where I'd kind of broke down, but could you imagine being like in the middle of nowhere and that happening? Man, you'd start thinking about what can happen. I mean, I have a sleeping bag that's meant for cold weather, and now I even have more blankets just in case, but man. All right, Romaine. You can only pop out so many stories before I'm gonna have to start fact checking you. I'm gonna need some references for some of these stories here pretty soon. How much cheaper than $5 a bottle can you? Well, I don't know how much anti-gel is now at the terminals, but those bottles of anti-gel I got were probably like $6. I mean, how much cheaper could they be? Because if they're that much at Walmart, then that might have to be something I might have to send my wife to go look at Costco. $15, so that's still more money. Because one of these bottles treats, these were like, some of these might be going back to the $5 days, but I know these weren't more than $6 when I got them. So these are $6 for 250 gallons. So but I cannot wait to get home. I'm sure my son is gonna definitely be putting some thought into the bourbon he's gonna get me when I walk into this house. Speaking of Super Ego, there's another Super Ego truck driving by. Okay, G80 Sean, I was surprised there wasn't much traffic sliding through Atlanta. People always talk about how bad Atlanta traffic is. I've never thought that, to be honest with you. I mean, I've got caught out there like maybe once when there was like an accident or something like that, but generally speaking, if I think of traffic, I'm not thinking about Atlanta. I'm thinking about Dallas, Houston, LA, Washington DC area, New Jersey, New York City area, Boston. I'll even throw Denver on there for at least that one stretch of 270, maybe not as a whole, but Atlanta, I don't think traffic in Atlanta when I think about Atlanta. I mean, there's a whole host of reasons I don't necessarily like going to Atlanta, but Marcus, when am I headed home? I'm going to say anytime between now and the 8th of next month, maybe a little. Nashville, I don't know. See, Nashville used to be a problem when I didn't know what lanes I needed to be in. Now that I know what lanes I got to be in, now I just, boom. I get off on that one ramp, get all the way over to the left lane, keep it, so now I know what lanes I need to be in. Nashville's not good if you don't know what lane to be in. Dallas, for sure. I am forever missing my exits in Dallas. I just automatically assume I'm going to miss an exit in Dallas every time I go through there. T News at the house. Hey, I'm sure you are. Since you're trying to run that easy southeast lane, it's not too easy right now, I don't think. From what I heard, I don't know. But Shamarcus, I want to stay out long enough to when I go home, just out of guilt. I don't want to be like working for 3 weeks and taking 3 weeks off or 2 weeks off. You know, if I do a month, I might stay out till, like, I want to take off a bunch of weeks in winter. So if I go home on the 8th of February, I don't plan on coming out until March. But hey, I'm not necessarily killing it out here right now. You know, like I said, I came out the house, had that airline blow, had to pay for a tow on that, had to get a load repowered. And the one thing that saved me last week was I did the one load going from St. Joseph, Missouri to 2 stops in Florida, and I think I got like $600 detention on that load. Chicago, yes, $600 detention on that load. So if you think about it, and I'm not bringing up money because I'm talking about money, you know, because everybody could, you know, this. Anyway, I think that load, once it was all said and done, ended up being like, well, forget about it ended up being 1,500 miles, and my check was $2,500. Now, I don't have a truck payment, but $600 of that was detention. So, detention, I'm not paying no fuel, I'm not paying, you know, none of that. So, that's just like free money right off the top. So, did one of my old, somebody was talking about training again. One of my old trainees, a different one, just texted me, sending me something random. But yeah, having that truck paid off and no other responsibilities like my man Shamarcus is going through. Now it's going to pay off. Obviously, Shamarcus is almost to the point of, you know, once you have 2 trucks paid off, that, you know, that changes the equation right there. But right now, 1 truck paid off, no other responsibilities, that turns like medium weeks into great weeks, you know, if you were to factor in a truck payment, and takes like below average weeks like I'm gonna have this week to like average week. Those are long 6 weeks waiting for them trucks to get paid off. It seemed like I was saying it, my truck was gonna be paid off in a month. It seemed like it felt like 4 months from the time I first said that for it to actually be paid off. But Shamarcus, every state's different. So I'm going to just try to put you up on I don't remember if I had this conversation with you or not. But here's what you need to do. They're going to send you a packet. And the packet's going to kind of walk you through things and stuff like that. You're definitely going to need a copy of your lease when you go down to the DMV. So you're going to need a copy of your lease. In Denver, I needed a VIN verification. So I just got that at Peterbilt. And then I needed to get a scale ticket. I don't know why. I know why they needed the VIN verification. They need that a lot of times on transfers and stuff like that. I don't know why they needed a scale ticket, but you need a copy of your lease to show that you're buying the truck for $1. Otherwise, they're going to be trying to hit you with like $80,000 in taxes and stuff like that. And you need, I think I brought a copy of the registration as well, so they understood when I said I don't need plates, because they kept trying to give me plates. I had to go up to upper management at the DMV because everybody else didn't understand. Can you still do a 12-year lease purchase on a used truck? Had my truck for 2 years now. I might do that. I don't know about a 12-year. I don't even remember how long we could keep our trucks on Prime's fleet. I don't remember if it was 5 years or 7 years. It can't be 5 years. I don't know. 2 years after it's paid off? I might have to work around that one. Okay, can you still do a 2-year lease purchase on a used truck? I think so. One of my guys that's been in here earlier, we had a friend of ours that typically I'm one to be saying put some money in your emergency fund, and this does not go for lease purchase people, mainly lease people, but we happen to have a friend in here that got let go at Prime, and kind of came out of nowhere, and I don't know if they're going to gank that money that's in that emergency fund or not. So I don't know. Anyway. G80 Sean, I filled out a credit application with Pedigree, never heard anything back. Man, give them a call. But a lot of times, you know what? This was my pet peeve when I was a manager in the mortgage industry. If any of my people took a loan application and they didn't call back somebody to tell them that they weren't approved, I had no, I had no patience with that, because I did have one of my people that if he took a credit application from somebody and they weren't approved, he wouldn't call them back until I expressed to him the importance of calling somebody back and telling them that. So hopefully that's not the situation. Hopefully you didn't just get with one of them salespeople that is like that, where if you can't buy something right now, they ain't got time for you. Lenny says it's Trump time. You know what? I'm going to do what I'm going to do regardless who's in office. But one thing I am happy about is it's going to take all these excuses away. So now you get what you want. If you ain't able to grind it out, there ain't nobody else to blame it on now. Sometimes it's good to have somebody to blame some shit on. Now people ain't got nowhere to hide. So if they're fucked up 4 years from now, what's going to be the excuse then? Well, he didn't have enough time. Or it was too messed up before. There's always going to be an excuse. I'm not one of those guys. You could put fucking Dave Chappelle in office, and I'm going to still do what I'm going to do. So to me, it doesn't matter regardless of who's in office. Because regardless of, here's the way I look at it, right? Regardless of what's happening, let's just say you say the economy or the stock market or whatever the situation would be. So if somebody gets in office and the stock market starts tanking, boom, that's the perfect time to jump in. You know what I mean? So I'm always looking for the solution rather than why I can't do some shit. You know what I mean? So Lenny, before you got in here, I was just talking about this raggedy ass comm data system going down. I stopped the other day at a truck stop at night. Gonna wake up in the morning and get my fuel and do all that stuff, and then I get the message after I'm already parked, an hour into the 10-hour break. And then what message do we get? Comm data is going to be down for between 0300 and 06 in the morning. Please plan accordingly. They say that shit like it's okay. I don't get it. That's why I say, you know what, get some of these people out here on the road. Get Sam, you know, everybody that has to do it, maybe not, well, I'd say log advisors too. But, you know, get some of these people out on the road. Get, like, even Sam Messick with some of these fuel solutions so he understands kind of what we're talking about. Why am I going to be, you know, so you can see that sometimes cheap fuel isn't the best fuel. Or, you know, shit like that. Or, I don't know. I think it would be an eye-opening experience, and I think that a lot of people would benefit from it. Safety department, training department, not necessarily the trainers, but some of them haven't been on the road so long. Maybe they need to come out back over the road for a little bit. But just to understand what we go through, because sometimes stuff is said so matter of fact, like they're out of touch with some stuff. Get your personal credit card. I agree with you. Experience is everything out here. Hey, Lenny, I've just now started to get to the point where I'm going to start using my credit cards for lumpers. Maybe not all of them, but just the other day, I got so pissed off waiting for I'd already been at a shipper for like 7 hours. It was a day that I was like, man, I delivered 0630. I'm going to be able to drop this load, go park by like 10, and then have a chance to relax because I put myself off till the next morning. And like 7 hours later, I'm still sitting there. And then the last 30 minutes of that, I'm waiting for a express code. So yeah, that's one change I'm going to start making, is doing more of that. And then another thing that I started doing a while back is when it comes to these washouts, I am not worried about what's in network, what's out of network. I'm hitting the closest washout that looks like, basically I'm going to just start hitting the closest washout and then just paying on my own, getting the PO and doing that. And then if it's a good enough place, see if I could get them added to the network. Now, one thing I'm thinking about with this delivery today is, should I get there closer to 3? I can get there an hour early, no more than an hour early, but what I might do is get there at 2, an hour before, sit in my truck until like 2:45, walk up, turn in my paperwork, just so I might even have an opportunity of getting some detention. Because if I was pre-planned on something, that might be a different story. But I don't know if I want to pick, I'll have all the hours. I'll have 10 hours and 45 minutes on my clock. But do I really want to go pick up something at some raggedy beef plant at -8 degrees tonight? Because where I'm at, that's what I'm picking up. Lenny, if you're still on here, where are you at? Well, I mean, I guess I could look up where you're at, but where are you at, Lenny? And Romaine, how's the weather out there where you're at? My wife says it's 3 degrees now in Denver, Colorado. Trucking wife with my Filipino wife. I always pay personal credit card for lumpers. They are the Newmans of trucking. You know, I am so like anti-credit kind of that it's I really didn't want to fall into that, but Ben and Jerry's. Those Ben and Jerry loads, man. There is that one Ben and Jerry's load. I've done it like 2 times. It's going to Ben and Jerry's. It's not a Ben and Jerry's load. They're about 60 miles, and they pay like $900 or something crazy like that. If I remember correctly, I'm thinking it might be berry chalabit chocolate powder or something like that. But that load is, the 2 times I've done it, it's been like super short. It's like picking up in Vermont, dropping off in Vermont, and then pays all the dough. And Lenny, one thing I don't know if you were in here earlier, I'm afraid to be driving with this co-pilot in Pennsylvania and upstate New York and all that stuff, because it seems like I gotta definitely have my other GPS on point, because this thing, I've seen more of the country lately using this co-pilot than I have in 5 years of trucking. Any small ass route I could go through, any little, main street that's gonna say, I've gone through all of it since I've been following this. And really, I just been following it just to see kind of what stupidity it's up to. And now I just know that what it's up to. So now I'm just kind of deferring to my Garmin or, whatever else I have working. I'm not just blindly following this co-pilot anymore now that I know what it's up to. Leah, yeah, they don't. Okay, so talking about in-house staff, yeah, they don't really know what the road is really like. Absolutely. And that's no fault of their own. It just hasn't been required, expected, or, desired. That's one thing I can say, especially the industry I came out of. Now, sometimes at the higher levels, and I'm talking about more corporate than I was actually, well, let's say like Bank of America, Wells Fargo. Sometimes you might have people in charge of divisions that never came out of that. But, one of the things that I would say that nobody could ever question a lot of the stuff that us as truck drivers question some of the in-house people about. Nobody could question me as a manager, because I've actually done, I went through that. I did that. Nobody could say, they didn't do this or they didn't do that. Whereas if you haven't gone through it, you open yourself up to that. And it, not that it matters to them, but you just don't have the same credibility as, I wouldn't have the same credibility telling somebody they need to do some jacked up stuff that I haven't done before. So and you know, I think I'm not gonna get all into that. That's nitpicking. Yeah, Lenny's talking about co-pilot sucking. Man, I'm gonna tell you. Navigo had its issues, and I'm never gonna sit here and defend Navigo or anything like that. But one thing I did know is, with rare exception, that stuff was not only dropping you off at the building, but right at the gate. Man, I've talked to people that had them go to the wrong side of the building. I had one that had me on the wrong street. So it said, look for, whatever on your left. And I'm like, it ain't there. So I'm driving slow. There's this super trucker behind me, like in a grain haul or something like that. And he's like, you plan on going anywhere, Prime? I started cussing him out. I was like, motherfucker, I'm just trying to find out where I'm going. And he's like, where are you trying to find? I said, whatever it was. And he's like, all right, well, you missed this turn, so you're going to need to leave back out of here, make a right. It's going to take you to I-29, go down an exit, get off, come back around, take the next exit, make a left, and go all the way down. And I was like, I appreciate it. So it had me on the completely wrong street. Then I was just down in Florida, dropping off in Publix. Now, I'm driving. I can see a Publix on the right. Both of my GPS are saying make the right. The co-pilot say make a left. Now, luckily, this wasn't like in the northeast or northwest where there's all these trees everywhere. Because then you'd be thinking, is this side a dry side and that side's a refrigerated side or something like that? But I was like, let me just make the right because I can see that and I can at least turn around in there if I'm at the wrong place. Clearly the wrong directions on that. So I've lost my confidence. Plus, those of you guys just came in here. I was driving. Man, I took the worst route you could possibly take from Fort Pierce, Florida to Cincinnati. I took the North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky route rather than just taking the Georgia straight on through route. And Romaine, here's one for you. If you're ever picking up in Columbus and you're coming to the west side of the country, trust me, man. Don't just blindly take that 80 route. First of all, it's a bunch of truck traffic, all that kind of stuff. Man, get on 74, 72 and all that. Much more of a casual drive. Not a lot of truck traffic, all kinds of parking because there's no truck traffic. You got your, name brand truck stops, off-brand truck stops. You got the hole-in-the-wall truck stops. Get off that 80 whenever you can. All right. Lupinga, man, I can't read that. Masao, how's the weather out that way? It's cold, man. It's like, I think it says it's 4 degrees on my phone, but I don't really know how. I think it's supposed to get up to a high of 8, and then it's supposed to get to -10 tonight. So I'm not sure if I'll be here tonight or if I'll have a plan to go somewhere else tonight, but Yeah, Lee, I'm telling you, when I was planning out the route, I looked at both the routes. It seems like the main reason that it was routing that way was you get that fuel stop in you got the Morris, Illinois TA, but then you got the Road Ranger, Ottawa, whatever it is, that has the super cheap fuel. There's not fuel cheap enough that would make me take that route across 80 through Chicago, Iowa, especially since it was supposed to be super cold up that way, rather than just dropping down to 74, 72, same miles, maybe a little bit less. I think it said it took more time, but the only time it would have taken more time was when you got on 36, cutting across from 72 to 29, and that really wasn't that big of a slowdown. Maybe hit like 2 stoplights out there. Otherwise, it was 65 miles an hour. Minus 9 degrees in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Yeah. I think that when my truck gelled up on me, on that fuel tank passed through, I picked up a load in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and it gelled up on my next drive shift out of there. And I think it was minus 18 degrees or something like that time. The coldest I've been out here, I think, was minus 28 degrees. And that was in North Dakota. And that's when I just had to trust the equipment, boy. I'm stopping in Effingham, lunch at Chipotle. Man, if I'm coming down near Effingham, depending on how far you're going down, I got to get some naf in Greenup, Illinois. I would like to get some of that petro fuel. It's been a long... All my fuels come from Love since I've been out. Man, see, these comments over here are... This phone right here is not getting the comments as fast. Like the last comment I can see on this phone right here is Romaine, talking about perform a miracle. I can tell you one thing I'm going to be doing at this Walmart when I go drop off today is when I put that thing in the dock, I am not walking down to that receiving office. I'm driving my ass right on down there. Because I never get like the first 10 docks. I'm always at the end dock, it seems like. Matt in. Who are we talking about being a coward that can't face his past? Did I miss something on that? Trucking Unfiltered, what's going on? Alright, Romaine, I'll check you out later. I don't know what is up with this. I mean, if there's one day I'm not looking for a pre-plan, it's today. I just want to let this cold weather pass. Pick up tomorrow midday sometime. Man, there was something else I wanted to talk about. Give me a minute. I don't know, maybe not. Anyway, I just wanted to stop in here real quick. Say what's up. It's been a while. Because frankly, my schedule's been all jacked up with picking up these loads at odd times, shutting down at odd times, and just being wore out mentally. Like I said, I don't know why I'm so wore out, because it's not like I didn't just leave home like the 3rd or 4th or whatever this month. So it's really odd for me to kind of be feeling this way, but I haven't been finding the motivation to do the job. It's just like kind of going through the motions. I don't really, I don't know. I'm sure some of you guys have been there before where you are kind of in this funk, but it's just like I just want to survive. I just want to make it through winter. Like, even if I just broke even, like, I'd rather even do less and just break even than do more and make a little bit more. Like, I just want this winter to be over. Just like get me through this winter, and then I'll start grinding. My wife says it was because I didn't want to leave to begin with. Yeah, I didn't want to leave at all. All right, let me get off of here. I need to I'm gonna relax a little bit. In about another hour, I'm gonna go get me some coffee and get ready to head to this Walmart that is a mile down the road. Leah, you are right. It's just hard to maintain this motivation. And you know what? Before I leave, and this is like a lot of the reality, right? A lot of it is I had to be so locked in for so long that once I got rid of all that pressure, I've actually had a chance to like almost feel this way. Like, I was having to grind so hard for like the last, let's just even say like the last year and a half, that I didn't have the luxury to get in this kind of a mood or whatever. Or so I think that has a lot to do with it, where I never could truly relax. And I think that now I've almost had a chance to like totally relax, especially when I was at home last time, where it made it hard to leave coming out here. And then there's just not that same pressure to like there to, you're not getting motivated by the pressure that was motivating me before. So I've kind of been in that situation. I don't have a truck payment hanging over my head. I don't have, even if all the drivers that were driving for me were clicking and doing everything right, can I imagine like the stress of just worrying about them in general? Where are they at? Especially the female. Where are they at? What are they, are they going to be okay in this weather? All that kind of stuff. So you got even that stuff. And then, is there going to be anything that happens? Are they going to run over some shit? Is there going to be some money that it needs, like all those pressures I just don't have anymore. So that does change a lot of the dynamic. So yeah, anyway, that is kind of where I'm at mentally. So it makes it harder to, like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do if I get a pre-plan or a load leaving here going to New Jersey or something. Like, there's no motivation for me to want to, like, depending on where it's going in New Jersey, who the receiver is. Like, there's really no real motivation to want to do that other than making life easier on my fleet manager or whatever. But personally, there's no reason why I would want to take that load. And now there's less of a reason to want to take that load. So it's just put me in a different situation. And I'll tell you one funny story before I get off here. I need to change my mindset to the same mindset that I had when I was getting into trucking. Because I had to put myself in a mindset that I needed to do this. Sort of like when I went through boot camp in the Marines. It was like I needed to do it. I had no backup plan as far as what I was going to do, jobs, whatever. I had to do it. And when I went through training to be a truck driver, primarily at Salt Lake City, I had to put myself in the mindset like I almost had to trick myself into like this is something I have to do, because it'd just be so easy to quit. It's not like I needed it or anything like that. And anyway, I just remember one time I'm in Salt Lake City, a horrible day. And at the time, I think they've softened up a little bit. At the time, when you were going through training, it didn't matter what the weather was like, you were out there in that weather. And I remember it was like sleeting and cold that day. And I called my wife and I was like, you know, telling her about that shit. And she's like, why don't you quit? We don't need this shit. I just remember laughing at that. But that's kind of what I need to trick myself into, is that I kind of like it's almost necessary. Million Mile Man, my hair's, listen, my hair is about, say, usually I'm not even thinking about getting home when my hair is like this short still. Leah, I'm telling you, here's the reason I left home last time, okay? Unless something's changed, because they change shit at Prime all the time. I need to run a load every 30 days, or at least be dispatched on a load. Now, maybe there's some loophole I could have done, but I needed to get out of home for that. That's the only reason I came out for home time. Because, oh, speaking of which, Million Mile Man, he's going to be paying off his truck here pretty soon, too. Welcome to the No Stress Club as soon as you get there, man. But damn, I forgot my, oh, that's the only reason I came off home time last time. So when I go home next time, whenever that is, I'll definitely be taking as much of the rest of the winter off as possible. Because it's not just, even just the equipment. Just putting your truck through some of this stuff is just not good for your truck. You know? Alright, let's see. Kevin, you sound like you're bummed out of on trucking. You need to take a break from trucking. I don't know how old you are, Kevin. Actually, that was one thing I wanted to talk about. Us old school players, you know, those of us that are like, they call us Gen X, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like real Gen X. Like, I'm that like earliest Gen X, like not the earliest, but 1968. So Gen X is like 1965 to 1980. And I think the closer you get to 80, the closer you almost fall into like millennial type stuff. But when I was coming up, you just did a job to make the money. You didn't have to like no job. You didn't, like, I never liked driving a truck. It was just a job, right? Like, and that's one of the struggles I have with, you know, my daughter and, you know, her man is, you know, it's like, this whole, like, you have to like a job and shit like that, that was not in our, vocabulary. That just wasn't in our mindset. It was like, you got to have a place to live. You got to make some money. You know what? You know, just some other shit came to my mind. So I just didn't need to like a job, right? All right, Kevin's 58 years old, so you're 68. Maybe you're... Yeah, so maybe I took that a little bit too much to heart, but I don't need to like a job. But, yeah, that was something I wanted to talk about, but somebody had asked me what I, kind of like you did. If I don't like truck driving, if I ever thought about being a fleet manager. I'm not even sure I could be a fleet manager at Prime. But one thing I do know is I would probably be a way better fleet manager than I would be a truck driver. That fits into like everything about how I operate and stuff. So I do think I would be an excellent fleet manager. Better of a fleet manager than a truck driver for sure. All right, Leah, have fun out there in Kansas City, Kansas. But I'm too, Kevin's 68. I'm definitely too old for any more career changes like that, especially as long as it takes to spin up to do anything at Prime. They got fleet managers over there that haven't even got their own board that have seemed like they've been there, like they've been on nights and shit like that since I've been at Prime. So the spin up is way too long over there, but I think everything about the way I operate would mean that I would be that would fall in my wheelhouse. And a lot of it wouldn't be the X's and O's of fleet management. It would be the personal side of it and stuff like that, and getting people to trust you enough to do stuff for you that you may not want to do for yourself. Shit like that. Anyway, because I think a lot of people that are in fleet management, I'm not necessarily speaking of mine could definitely answer the phone more. That is a point of contention. But in terms of temperament and all that kind of stuff, I think a lot of fleet managers look at their job the same way that a lot of truck drivers look at the job, as a transactional business. And I think that if you take the transaction out of it and make it personal, now you have people going above and beyond to do stuff for you. And that is kind of the approach I would take. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Because there is time to like have that conversation with, not about business, but every, week, 10 days or whatever, call up driver, get on the same page, talk about some stuff, whatever, make it, totally not even about business unless it comes up. All right. Fur Daddy, you can be my fleet manager. I wonder how that would have really turned out. And to be honest with you, looking back at why I was put in place as a manager at the mortgage company that I was at when I was put in at that time, wasn't because I was knew the most. It wasn't because I did the most business. It wasn't anything like that. It was like more of the intangible stuff. My relationships with everybody at that place. Like, I could go back there now. I've been away from this company for over 5 years now. I could go back there, say, hey, let's get the gang back together, and get like a bunch of people to show up to go hang out and talk shit, whatever, because It was never about the X's and O's so much. That's the way it started out. That's what I thought I had to be, until I realized that's not what I had to be. And the more I got into like everything other than the actual business, the better everything became. Anyway, I'm about to get off of here. I do appreciate you guys stopping by. No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. As always, thanks for stopping by. I'm out.